Good afternoon, Chad. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Paul?
I am getting over a cold, but besides that, things are going great. Um,
Good.
so it's been a week since we last spoke, and I wanted to see what your week has been like. How's it been going with the training and with rolling out to the team and everything else?
We've been pretty busy, Paul. Um, since we last spoke, we've been yesterday we started going live out in the shop with our supervisors. So just our supervisors only.
Okay.
So I created work orders for everything that they're working on specific,
Okay.
and they're you know just testing the waters on logging in and out, time
Mhm.
tracking, in process checks.
Oh,
Um,
and process checks. Nice.
Yep.
Okay.
So all that good stuff. So
Are they doing that in parallel with your old system as well?
yeah, so we're
Okay.
still using our old system right now.
Yeah.
Um, but it's been very successful. So um, we've
Very
had
exciting.
um, everybody is pretty excited about it. Even the old guy is pretty excited about it. So um, it's been a real nice sight to see.
That's fantastic. So did you do training with them before, or how did you do the training with them before sort of going live with them?
Yeah. So we've been in those guys have been in training with Robert for
Hmm.
2 weeks now.
Okay.
But prior to that, before they started working with Robert, I had them do the fundamentals. So
Yeah,
the
just watching
fundamental
some
training.
videos.
Yep, yep. So they were familiar with all that before they even went into talking to Robert. So he spent 2 weeks with them. So 2 times a week, hour and a half at a time.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so they finally were comfortable enough to where yesterday we're like, they weren't coming up with enough questions for Robert. I'm like, you know what? If we want questions, we just got to start doing it. So,
Sure. It's the best way for it to come up with
so
new
we
questions. Yeah.
attacked it. Yeah. So it's been great.
And tell me a little bit about that older gentleman that was nervous.
Yeah. Um, so he is getting ready to retire in the spring. He's one of my department managers.
Okay.
Um, he has a son who's also working here.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
and
That's cool.
so the two of them are working together for the first time. He's been a machinist for 40 years. His son's been a machinist, gosh, I don't know, I'm guessing 15, 20 years maybe, but they've never
Mhm.
worked together up until about a year ago. Um, and
And did the older gentleman work for you first,
yes, yep,
and then had his son come in?
yep. And then his son came in and
Well,
started
that
working
says a
for me.
lot about your culture, by the way,
Well,
that
thank you.
he would want his son to come work at the company. So good job on you.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
So, one of the reasons he was probably one of the three reasons of why I chose ProShop, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that he's getting ready to retire. He'll still work here part time. I'm sure of it for the next couple of years, but
Right.
you know, getting him into a new role here, right? So, um, but one of the reasons I pulled the trigger on ProShop is he's got all that tribal knowledge, right? And how can I extract that stuff out of his head to pass down to in this case for us his son, right?
Right.
Um, so when he does leave, he's got his son still has all this knowledge at his fingertips. So having that access to create the videos, put those in the setups was
Mm.
one of the top three reasons of why I chose ProShop. So for us.
Oh, that's it's very wise to be thinking longer term. Not
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
shop owner is doing that. So
But anyways, he's one of the older guy. And I sat down and I talked to him about this, and so he's been supportive of it, a little fearful maybe.
mhm. Sure.
But anyways, yesterday it was great. He's been going through this for 2 weeks now, and he had his first full day of logging in and time tracking and doing his in process checks. And he came to me at the end of the day. He's like, this isn't so bad.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So,
So
um, so I'm
so he
excited.
yeah, so he had about 6 hours of instruction under his belt,
Yeah,
something like
give or
that.
take.
And
Yep.
then first day in, this is not so bad. Now was he
Yep.
he's just not as good with computers as well as just
Correct. He's
okay.
just, he likes machines.
Yeah,
We've got the machines he's working on is all cam operated machines.
right.
Um, and he's just um, has never had to work with them.
Sure.
So um, so yeah, it's been a great transition for him.
Well, good for you for sitting down and talking with him first and helping support him through that transition. I know that's really important.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, and I think you also mentioned, well, you did mention before we hit go that you had your ISO consultant come in recently too.
Yeah, so he was just here this morning.
Yeah.
We have a ISO consultant. We're ISO certified,
Yep.
have been for well over 20 years. And we have a
Mhm.
gentleman come in, if not every month, certainly every other month, and just kind of sort of keep us on track and um, make sure we're going in the right direction. So he stopped in today, and today was the first time that I could show him the stuff that we're doing in ProShop. And for us, we got the flying starter package from you guys,
Yep.
and so I was able to go in there and show him the quality procedures that are already in place in ProShop, and
Mhm.
the quality manual that's in there, and all the trainings that are in there.
Right.
We already have all of our org chart is already done for the
Yep.
employees, so he got to go in there and see what each position is, the training that's required for each position, and
Mhm.
he was blown away. Uh,
Mhm.
so, but
Fantastic.
anyways, yeah, having a conversation with him today of, there's, right now our entire ISO is, essentially in a 3-ring binder.
Yeah, super common. Super common.
So,
Yeah,
getting, there's some additions that we're going to have to make, right, to implement the way that we do it.
sure.
Uh, and so having conversations with him today of the steps that we need to take to uh, get that 3-ring binder, officially into ProShop. So
Right. Wow.
he
That's, and has he been your auditor for or a consultant for a long time?
he has probably 6 or 8 years, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he comes in and helps you. Does he help you do management review meetings or just clean up your NCRs
Yeah,
and
he'll
corrective
he'll sit
actions?
he'll sit in on management review meetings.
Okay.
He works with us with all of our internal audits.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, so he's just a great resource to have, whenever we run into any hiccups along the way.
Hmm. And we talked a little bit about the possibility of you deciding to become compliant to AS for next year's audit. Just
Yeah,
any of
so
those.
yeah, so he's certified for my consultant's also certified for AS 9100.
Hmm.
So him and I discussed briefly this morning about, I don't know if we're um, to get AS 9100 certified is something in the cards for next year, but at least we want to get compliant for next
Right.
year, by
Yep.
next year.
Yeah.
So that's something that we'll be shooting for.
Awesome. Well, you know, obviously, well, ProCNC was AS certified, where we built ProShop,
Yeah,
and a lot of the just standard daily business practices that we built right into the software are in the aim of being compliant. So I suspect you're going to have a fairly easy time of getting compliance, and hopefully you'll be encouraged enough that you go for getting certified, and that opens new doors and new opportunities and industries and stuff for you.
for sure. Yeah. So yeah, he was pretty excited about it. And then we also talked about today, um, giving him, access to look at that stuff, right? When,
Mm-hmm.
he goes down to Florida for 2 months this winter.
Oh
So I'm like,
yeah.
what, I'll just give you your own username and password. And, when you're down there, you can drink some coffee and look at my quality procedures and make sure that they're
That's
in line with
fantastic.
with what we're currently doing. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that remote access is really an important thing.
it really is.
Obviously, during COVID times, there was a lot of audits that were actually done remotely. I'm sure most of them are back in person at this point, but we just actually got an email from a customer who their main programmer is remote. And
Okay.
so he's able to document everything about their jobs, put in little video clips from his CAM software, and
Yeah.
get everything, uploaded for them to do their setups, but not being physically there, which is pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So even my department supervisors, right? They've already been using it offline. I know one of my guys was doing he got stuck on he opened up a work order and he wanted to change the routings on it
Mhm.
on Friday, this
Yeah.
past Friday. And he couldn't change the routings,
Okay.
because he wasn't trained for, I think it was
Oh
war
yeah.
room planning. And
You
so
had
this
training
this
access
weekend,
control turned on.
yeah, so this weekend he literally was in a deer stand on Saturday.
No way.
Before waiting for the deer to come out, he was on his phone reading about war room planning.
So you signed him off to train him, and then he could
Yep,
do the.
yep.
Oh man, in the deer stand. That is so awesome. Wow, that's the first I've heard of it. That one. That's going to go in my storybook for sure.
Yep.
Wonderful. So we talked last time about importing data and building parts, and I know you've been working on some of that stuff. So you want to share a little bit of that with me?
Yeah, so last time we talked, you showed me how to do some CSV imports um, for our parts. So I started doing that. I did a test run of maybe 10 parts. Everything looked pretty good.
Mhm.
So I ended up doing, we have our own hardware line
Right.
of gas spring brackets and ball studs. So I started importing some of those gas spring brackets in as well. Uh,
Mhm.
so I did that late last week, and then yesterday I started building them up. Putting in all the ops for those and bill of materials. So I probably ended up building, yesterday alone, probably 20 parts. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, so I was in it.
That's good.
So, and then build up the work orders to hand out to my guys on the shop floor. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect. So as you one of the things that people often say, and is the case, that doing a new system change like this, there's a lot of data input, right?
Yeah.
There's no way to get around it. But there are ways to streamline and simplify some of that data input. And then the more you think about sort of long-term strategically with things that you want to build into your process, and that's one of the real powerful aspects about ProShop, is it's sort of an operating system for a business, and helps define really repeatable processes so that you can do things in a systematic way, which is what ISO is all about, right? Which is the most profitable way to run a business, undoubtedly. So when it comes to templates, I just wanted to throw out something to you, and let me share my screen here for a second. Screen number one is the notion that so this is just I just made this simple little Swiss part record. So this is a template, so it would be available to you in your template menu to copy. But if we go into something like our final inspection document prep operation,
Yeah.
we can build with these things that we call operation components, which you're familiar with. You mentioned they're doing their in-process QC, so they're obviously using the part check information, attribute. Then we can build into our templates something like verifying material certs with a go no go requirement. So this would basically turn it into a requirement that the person doing final inspection needs to confirm that the certs are there, check a box that it's a go, and make sure that happens on a systematic basis. And the benefit of putting this into your template is that every time you clone this template to a new part number that you get, or a new part that you're just bringing into the system, that you don't have to go manually do that again later, right? And so when you start thinking about all the different places where you might want to build in some process, and if I come back to that one, you could even add some generic work instructions that you want for every single part number in your whole company.
Yeah.
and that would then be prompted to them every time they go to do that operation. So anyway, there's just, yeah, there's a lot of power to that concept of build, you know, you could build things into your kitting process, you could build things into your machining processes, into your shipping or invoicing, or, you know, anything at all. But it just can really help to streamline all your workflow down the line to make sure you're not having to enter in data or redo things that that weren't in your templates in the first place.
Yeah, and as I, you know, obviously yesterday was day one of us really building out our parts list. And at the end of the day, it did get easier, right? You know, just the repetitiveness of it
Yeah.
became pretty simple. I'm already a pro after 10 hours of grinding away at it.
Well,
But
that
yeah, just
muscle
to have
memory,
some sort of template like that would be
Mhm.
great, right? Um, you know, for us, for our hardware line, you know, all of our process checks are identical, right? So
Mhm.
to have all that process, that part check info already there would be, you know, they would save a couple minutes for
Yeah, every
sure.
single
So
time.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
And having a specific template for each part family, is that kind of what you're
yeah,
thinking?
yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Awesome, Chad. Um, well, anything else you want to share about the week, or we already covered quite a bit?
We did. I'm excited to see the next couple weeks, what the next couple weeks brings us. I know yesterday or last week, you know, you and I talked offline a little bit of, you know, how long it's going to take for us to go live, and you know, as I get more into it, right,
Mhm.
the more excited I get to go live with it sooner than what I anticipated. So
That's
um,
awesome.
we'll see. You know, time will tell, but I'm pretty excited. I think in the next couple of weeks we'll really be starting to hit the ground running.
Yeah. What's your strategy for having not just your leads work on jobs, but some of their teammates as well?
Once they're comfortable with
Yeah.
it, they're actually, you know, one of my guys is actually already showing his guys
Right.
how to do it. So,
Right.
um, but my main focus was just to get them comfortable,
Hmm.
um, and then have them start teaching. I think probably for myself, I'll probably um, get in touch with them department by department,
Yep.
break up in smaller groups,
Yep. Yep.
um, and go from there. But
Okay.
um, yeah, this past week was a big hurdle for me, and showed me, you know, how simple yet powerful, right, ProShop is.
Mhm.
So it's a magical thing.
Awesome. Well, Chad, I appreciate all the kind sentiments. Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about your journey next week. You're doing a fantastic job, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is really, I think, you know, fear of change and fear of digital transformation, which everyone throws that term around, is so ubiquitous. And so, you know, hearing firsthand from shops that are going through it in the moment, you know, this isn't really scripted. You know, next week we
Oh,
don't know what we're going to talk about, right? So
right,
I
for
appreciate
sure.
you doing this with me, and I'm sure people watching do as well. So thank
Well, I
you so
appreciate you
much,
having me on.
and have a good rest of your week. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, bye.